Welcome to ERwin Data Modeler tutorial. In this session, I'll be talking about ERwin Workspace. This section here is called the ERwin Toolbar. I can click on an entity here and click back on the space, and I can have an entity ready. And one way you browse from, say, a key section to non-key section is by using the tab. Product code. Oops, I created them the other way, so I can drag and bring them back. I click the entity icon again here and click one more table called category. Okay, now I want to have the category code as a foreign key on the product, and I can do that by clicking the non-identifying relationship. Click the category table and then the product table, and there you go, the foreign key relationship is established. This section here is called the Formatting Toolbar, and I can use it to, say, highlight a particular table, fill it in a particular color, and I can select a particular field and make it look bold. This toolbar here is called the Transformation Toolbar. I can use it to resolve many-to-many relationships, or as subtype supertype relationship. This toolbar here is for alignment, and I can use it to align objects. So I select the required objects here and say I want to align them horizontally by aligning the centers, and there you go. This toolbar here is called the layout editor, and we can use it based on our requirement if you want to arrange them in circular, hierarchy, or any other form of layout. This toolbar here is called the zoom toolbar, and I mean it's pretty standard that you either zoom out or zoom in. One important thing I want to highlight here is the zoom to fit model. If you have hundreds of tables there, and the moment you click this, it tries to zoom out so that you can see all the tables at once, and then you can use this zoom to fit selection to highlight on a particular section, or you can use the overview pane here to go to that particular section of your model. This section here is called the display toolbar, and what we can use it for is, say, in my entire model I just want to look at entities and I want to hide all the attributes. I'll click this icon, entity display level only, and it prompts for a window. I just say okay, and there you go. If I want to display the entity and the primary key only, or if I just want to display all of them, there you go. And this toolbar here is called the mark toolbar, and basically it works with the ERwin workgroup edition. I'm using community edition, and that's why I won't be able to use it in my demonstrations in the screen. The other toolbar that I've highlighted here is called the database toolbar, and it can be used for forward engineering, reverse engineering, and complete compare. You can also access this from action menu. This toolbar here is called the Drawing Toolbar, and you can use it for highlighting, say, a particular set of tables. And the moment I created it, as you can see that the tables are not visible anymore. I have to click outside the box, and there you go. Right now you're not able to see the relationship between product and category. That's because this particular object's transparency is set to 0, so that's why it's hiding the relationship. One way I can bring it back is I right click on the object and say override fonts and colors. I go to fill options, and I just want to put, say, something like 80 there, and now I can see the relationship. But I also want to highlight them in a particular color so that it would be easily visible for me, and I can go here and say fill the entire object in a green color. You're not able to see this much because the background is in blue color, and that's because it's in a default scheme. It's in default theme. So in order to change that, I'll just go to the model, right click on properties, and I go to the defaults tab and change the default to classic. And the reason I like classic is the classic, it gives me a white background, and um, it lets it shows the color in the pretty good. I have opened a new model to demonstrate um, the use of action log, advisories, and overview pane. What I'll do is I'll click the entity here and I hold the control key so that I can create multiple entities. As you can see here, when I created these entities, you see that it creates a log for the each activity that I have done. Say here I click that and say product here, and there you go, it says set attribute property name. Now if I want to undo that activity, I can just right click and say undo this point and it's gone, or I can go all the way back and click on the third entity here. um, I can click this here. I can expand the tree and I can see exactly what object it is, and I can click at that point and say undo to this point, and all the activities done after this point are gone. Okay, that's the purpose of action log. And advisories is something which tells you what you have just done. So for example, I want to highlight this table entirely in green, and you see that it says what I have just done, and it also alerts us if we have broken any modeling rule. The overview section is more or less like it shows you the entire model and you can zoom in on a particular section of a screen. So let me go and create more entities. So the overview section always shows you the entire model, and you can choose to zoom in on the desired screen. I can make this box smaller, and actually you can see also the zoom automatically changing to see the zoom. And the moment I take the the cursor away from the blue screen, what I see is a magnifying glass. I can use that to zoom on a particular section again. So that's the purpose of the overview screen. Now let's go to this model explorer. Model explorer basically lets you browse all the objects that are in the model, and you can use it to even set properties and set the naming standards, so on and so forth. To show you one quick example, I can browse the entities here, and it shows all the entities that I have created. I can browse further and find out if any key indexes, in logical model we call them as key groups, if they are created, any, what is the naming of it, what do they comprise, so on and so forth. I can create domains as well. I'll get to in my next videos what domains are. And now let's talk about properties in ERwin. So if I right click on any empty space on this diagram and I choose properties, it shows all the diagram properties. For example, I can choose to say that I don't want to see the data type, and I don't want to see if it's null or not null. I can uncheck these options and it's gone. And similarly, I can say that okay, in this model there's product and category, but for whatever reason I don't want to show product. I can click here and undo that. And the other set of properties are, if it's a table or an entity, it doesn't matter, you can just click on that object and go for entity properties, and you can see all the properties for the entity. Similarly, you can click on an attribute, and go for the properties, and it shows the properties for the attribute. You can change the properties at the model level, where you can just right click the model and go for the properties, and you can change the notation format. Actually, in this session I have already selected information engineering, but the default is IDEF one format. And you can observe that the icons also have changed according to that notation. I prefer this one. And the defaults, while creating these attributes, I haven't changed the data type, and so it has taken the default char 18 and the null option by default. You can change that here. With this we conclude our session on ERwin Workspace.